This is Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert, a NASCAR podcast. After our big 100th episode featuring interview with Xfinity driver Josh Williams, not sure if we can outdo that one, but boy, we'll try. Hope you got your stomachs ready for endless Martinsville hot dogs as all three series move to the first points-paying short track of the season at Martinsville Speedway in Virginia. Drivers will sure be ready to battle on the half-mile paperclip and try to claim a grandfather clock. Storylines going into the weekend, starting with trucks. After winning the first two stages of last weekend's race in Miami, Corey Heim would run into engine issues. Could he rebound, or could Mr. Short Track, Ty Majeski, steal the show? Xfinity, I believe this race will come down to veterans of Justin Allgaier and Eric Almirola, or could it be one of the young guns, such as Connor Zilisch? Cup Series, tempers will be ready to boil over after 400 laps on the half mile of Martinsville. Who will be using their bumper, and who will race others clean? Can Ryan Blaney get out of his funk at a track he's had so much success at the Cup Series? Plus more racing action on our late model roundup featuring interview with Chase Pinsonneault recapping the ASA All-Star race from Pensacola 2 weeks ago and looking forward to this upcoming weekend's race, the third race of the season at Dominion Speedway in Virginia. Additionally, discussions with Dave, Fast Davey's bets, NASCAR history time, and so much more on this episode of Splash of Gas. As always, we're sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, a.k.a. Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He will be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. He can be reached at DisneyDaveW@Verizon.net. Please make sure you follow all the Splash of Gas social medias for midweek updates. Instagram and Facebook are both Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. That started off with the Truck Series recap. The Truck Series would start the racing at Martinsville on Friday night, and boy, would the 200-lap race be filled with high tempers and fireworks. After qualifying, the 11 of Corey Heim would be on the pole, followed by Ty Majeski, making up the front row. After two early yellows involving a spin from Ryan Roulette and an incident between Lane Riggs and Connor Mozak, Corey Heim and Caden Honeycutt would restart the field on lap 32. The rest of stage one would stay green. A strong Heim would go on to win the first stage. The second stage, though short, was surprisingly green. Heim and Honeycutt again starting up front. Again, Corey Heim would be strong on the restart. By lap 79, Heim would have over a second lead on Honeycutt, who was in second. No one would be able to get close to Heim, and he would sweep the first two stages like last weekend. But would he be able to put it in victory lane, unlike in Homestead, Miami? After the second stage, several drivers would elect to stay out. Raja Caruth and Matt Crafton would restart the field. 2 laps later, the yellow would fly for a spin in the middle of the pack with a stack-up involving Luke Baldwin, son of Daytona 500 champion crew chief Tommy Baldwin Jr. Luke is in the 66 for ThorSport, making his Truck Series debut. The same combination of Crafton and Caruth would restart the pack again. By lap 124, Heim would work his way under Caruth for the lead. 3 laps later, Ty Majeski would pass Raja for second. After yellows on lap 148 for Corey Day and on lap 157 involving Luke Baldwin and Matt Gould, with 34 laps to go, Heim and Majeski would restart the field. Heim would clear for the lead entering turn 1, but would get bumped up the track battling with Honeycutt. A lap later, the contact had cut Heim's tire down, putting him into the wall, ending his day after winning Stage 1 and Stage 2. Just when you thought the action couldn't get any wilder, Ty Majeski and Honeycutt would be restarting with 14 laps to go. Majeski on the inside would get loose on the restart, spinning himself and Caden out, taking them each at a race contention. The final restart would occur with 8 laps to go. After being second, Daniel Hemrick would elect to start third to have the second inside position behind his teammate Tyler Ankrum. Jake Garcia would be in the second spot on the front row. With 3 laps to go, Hemrick would cleanly get around Ankrum. Even though his Xfinity championship and several years at the Cup level, this is Daniel Hemrick's first win at the Truck Series level. And of course he did a backflip off the truck. Congratulations to that McAnally-Hilgeman truck team. Now for trivia time. 2 questions this episode. Our first one, another one for our newer NASCAR fans. What driver did this Hail Melon move in the second Martinsville race in October of 2022 to punch his ticket into the championship race? Second question, Martinsville opened in 1947. NASCAR's top division would first come to Martinsville in the spring of 1950. Who won that race? Answers coming at the end. Now for the Xfinity recap. After qualifying, the 2 rookies at a Junior Motorsports, Connor Zilisch and Carson Capol, would be on the front row with Zilisch on the pole. After getting a great jump off the restart, by lap 22, Zilisch had over a 2-second lead on Capol in second. Then Carson would start to reel in Zilisch and get within a second by lap 39. The only yellow in the first stage would fly with 6 laps to go in the stage when Harrison Burton and Corey Day would be battling for the 8th spot and get tangled. The stage would end under yellow and be won by Zilisch. This is Connor Zilisch's first win on an oval in the Xfinity Series. After being the first 2 out of the pits, Brandon Jones and Justin Allgaier would lead the field back to green to start the second stage. Tough break for the leaders of Jones and Zilisch on lap 81 and about to get lapped. Garrett Smithley would spin. Zilisch and Jones would each have damage. Jones getting the worst of it and have to give up all of his track position and come to the pits. After another yellow on lap 95 for a Dean Thompson spin. With 18 laps in the stage left, Zilisch and Austin Hill would bring the field to green. Just like the earlier restart, Connor Zilisch would get the jump. Big mover was Eric Amarola as he passed Josh Williams for 6th after restarting 20th. Connor Zilisch will go on to win the second stage. Amarola and Allgaier would restart the pack for the third and final stage, where there would be a fair share of carnage. After sweeping the first 2 stages, Connor Zilisch would suffer nose damage on lap 137 while battling for 13th position. After 7 cautions for a mix of spins and wrecks, Taylor Gray and Justin Allgaier would restart the field with 21 laps to go. 3 laps later, another wreck would occur involving Christian Eckes, Daniel Dye, Nick Sanchez, Josh Williams, Ryan Sieg, and Myatt Schneider. The red flag would fly to clean up the oil. After another caution for a Zilisch spin, Taylor Gray and Justin Allgaier would restart on the front row with Sammy Smith in third. Matthew DiBenedetto would spin, pushing the race into overtime. With all the bumping and banging we saw throughout the stage, we knew something was brewing. On the final turn of the race, Taylor Gray would be out in front of Sammy Smith. Smith would not touch the brake and bomb into the back of Gray, taking both drivers out while crushing the nose of his own car. Austin Hill would see the heaven gates open and sneak by on the inside and win his first grandfather clock. More on the Sammy Smith incident on Discussions with Dave. Now for the Cup Series recap. The Cup Series drivers would be biting at the bit to get underway for 400 laps at Martinsville. After qualifying, the 20 of Christopher Bell would be on the pole. Early on, the cars would be single file. Chase Elliott, who started second, would pass Bell for first by lap 24. A yellow for debris would occur shortly after. All cars would pit besides Josh Berry, Austin Cindric, Cole Custer, Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, and Riley Herbst. Berry and Cindric would restart the field. As Josh Berry would lengthen his over 2.5-second lead over the field, another yellow would fly for an incident with Chris Buescher and Carson Hocevar. Unfortunately for Berry, he would experience a battery issue and have to go to the pits. After a 2-lap sprint to the end of Stage 1, the winner would be Joey Logano. Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott would start the field back to green for the second stage. 12 laps later, Denny Hamlin would pass Bowman for second with Elliott in the lead. After a yellow, some would pit and others would stay out. Denny Hamlin next to Bubba Wallace would restart and Hamlin would lengthen his lead. With 5 laps to go in the stage, Chase Elliott would pass Bubba for second. Could Chase catch Hamlin? Not quite, and Denny would go on to win the second stage. Again up front, Hamlin and Elliott would lead the group back to green. 5 yellows would occur in the front part of the final stage. The last restart would occur with 74 laps to go. Hamlin, Bell, and Wallace would be the top 3. After battling with Bell for several laps, Denny Hamlin was able to pull away and started racking up a lead. As the laps counted down, Denny's lead increased, and many looked at the 3-way battle for second between Bell, Wallace, and Elliott. Denny Hamlin goes on to win Martinsville in his home state of Virginia. The top 5 is Hamlin, Bell, Wallace, Elliott, and Kyle Larson. Quick look back at our predictions we made. Trucks went with Ty Majeski, and after his spin up front, he finishes 13th. Xfinity picked Justin Allgaier. He brings it home 3rd. Cup Series tapped Ryan Blaney. He finishes 11th. Now for yellow flag, green flag. Trucks yellow. I can't believe we're saying this, but hard luck for the dominant Corey Heim. 4 stage wins in the last 2 races and nothing to show. Trucks green flag. Rookie Luke Baldwin did get caught up in 2 spins, but not to his doing. Was up in the 7th position at the highest part of the race. Congrats, Luke. Can't wait to see you back in the truck soon. Xfinity yellow. We will talk more about this in discussions with Dave, but Sammy Smith is in hot water after the last lap wreck on Gray. Xfinity green. After entering the white flag on the 3rd row, Austin Hill should play the lottery. When the wreck fest happened, Smith and Gray started to collect others. Hill was able to pull a golden ticket out of the cockpit and take the inside lane to a grandfather clock. Cup yellow, tough day for Team Penske and their partner Wood Brothers car. There are 2 cars of the number 2 of Austin Cindric and the 21 of Josh Berry. Both of their days end with bad alternators. Cup, green flag, 2 top 3s in a row for the 23 of Bubba Wallace. He's currently 8th in the standings. Is a win this year in Bubba's future? Now for discussions with Dave. Let's jump right into it, folks. The Xfinity wreck everyone was talking about. The move, Sammy Smith. It's not even a move. Sammy Smith wrecks Taylor Gray coming out of turn 4 in the overtime restart with the checkered flag flying. The move by Smith doesn't even pay out. He wrecks himself and Taylor Gray, which ultimately led Austin Hill to walk away with that one. The more and more that I look into this, just further compounds my opinion that Sammy Smith is so wrong. Let's first look at the video. Right after the wreck, you see that Smith's nose is caved in. This just wasn't a rattle his cage bump or a bump and run. Smith doesn't even tap the brakes coming out of turn 4. Then we move to all the post-race interviews, and that's where the pot starts being stirred. Junior Motorsports teammate Justin Allgaier comes out right away against Smith's move and calls it terrible for the sport. A whole slew of Cup Series drivers kind of say the same thing, Brad Keselowski among those. Smith and Gray exchange words and are held back at the infield care center. But the more Sammy Smith opened his mouth, the guy just looked like a total moron. Sammy kept saying that Gray would have done the same thing in that same exact situation. And Sammy Smith isn't more completely wrong. We saw Taylor Gray go side to side with Christian Eckes last fall in the truck race in Martinsville when Gray needed to win that race to get into the playoffs. Taylor Gray raced Christian Eckes clean, and Eckes pushed him up the track, ending Gray's day and playoff contention. Sammy Smith has no idea what he's talking to. Okay, Gray might have given him a few birds prior to that in the race, in the cockpit, and Smith really kind of just had his mind up that he was going to wreck Taylor Gray. But Sammy Smith, I just felt like he hasn't even watched any video of how Gray races at Martinsville, and he comes out and says that. I also understand that drivers have long-term memories with, some racing others harder than some. And yes, that might have sounds like that's happened throughout the young careers of both of these guys. This has also shed light on the rough driving by the younger drivers in the Truck and Xfinity series. If you compare both of those finishes to the clean green 79 or so laps that we saw that ended the Cup Series race of clean, hard racing, that has gone away from the sport in recent years. Justin Allgaier was quoted, "We didn't race like that years ago with all this wrecking and bumping and banging and by lesser unexperienced drivers. In the long run, hope this doesn't take away from the sport." At the end of the day, NASCAR fined Sammy Smith 50 points and $25,000 for his actions in Martinsville. Taylor Gray and Jeb Burton additionally are each fined $5,000 for how they acted in the infield care center. The last question on this topic, how does this affect Sammy Smith's career? When Sammy Smith was coming up with Joe Gibbs Racing, I really thought he was someone that Joe Gibbs was truly going to invest in, which surprised me. He abruptly went to Junior Motorsports. But how does he sit with Junior Motorsports now? Because it does not seem good. Dale Jr. was on his podcast this week and was very outspoken on Smith's actions. Moving along, more talk about post-race interviews. Harrison Burton was in the Cup Series the last 2 years. Full-time Xfinity this year, was caught up in a few of those wrecks. He was asked his opinion about Sammy Smith's wreck at the end. Harrison was comparing how the Cup Series drivers raced him the last 2 years at that level compared to how the current day Xfinity drivers are racing against him. And it couldn't be more night and day. I mean, and that's totally evident when you watch the Xfinity and Cup races at Martinsville with how they finished. Wanted to share that. As a fan, I thought Burton's comparisons to the two series were very interesting. Now for our last topic on discussions with Dave, Ty Gibbs' slump. With Ty's 13th place finish in Martinsville, he passes J.J. Yealy for the most races ran at Joe Gibbs at the Cup Series level without a win. At the beginning of the season, Ty Gibbs was really getting close to that number of races ran where drivers are hitting that first win. Yes, the J.J. Yealy comparison isn't really too fair to Ty. Ty's going to stay in that car, as we know. Despite the lackluster effort, some positives can really be drawn by the on-track data from Gibbs at Martinsville. According to NASCAR's Insight Analyst, Gibbs was the only driver who achieved top 10 ratings in all 4 of the key performance metrics during Sunday's race, measuring among the field's frontrunners in speed, which was 7th, passing, 6th, defense, which was 4th, and restarts 3rd. His 54 team was also 8th in the 5th category, which is pit crew ranking. I'm a NASCAR fanatic, but by no means I'm looking at the nitty-gritty statistics for each of these drivers at the end of every race. With the data in the right direction, can Ty get out of this slump and maybe put together a few top 10s and top 5s? We will see. And that wraps up this episode's edition of Discussions with Dave. Moving right on to our next segment, Late Model Roundup, ASA All-Stars 3rd race of the season. We recapped Cole Butcher's win in the Sunshine State 200 2 weekends ago. Now we look towards the 3rd race of the ASA All-Stars Tour at Dominion Speedway in Virginia. Thank you to the ASA website for the data and info. The Appalachian Sucker Punch ASA Stars National Tour will make its debut at Dominion Raceway in Spotsylvania, Virginia this Saturday, April 5th. Currently, 22 drivers are entered for the Appalachian Sucker Punch 250, presented by Jones Utility, with most of the field having little or no experience at the fast 4/10 of a mile oval in Virginia. It is safe to say the field is wide open for the short track Saturday night shootout. Here are some of the drivers to look out for. Gavin Boschel. He is the current point leader of the Stars Tour and won the Clyde Hart Memorial at the season opener in New Smyrna. In just 6 starts on the tour, he has 1 win, 3 top 5s, and 5 top 10s. Very good for the young driver. Cole Butcher. He's the most recent winner on the tour, having won the last race as we just mentioned. Butcher has 5 wins in 20 starts and has finished 2nd and 3rd in the point standings over the last 2 years. Landon Pembleton. Landon comes into Dominion with the most experience at the track. He's the defending late model stock champion, where he's won 10 races just in 17 starts there. Stephen Nasse, a fan favorite. Nasse has quite the start to the season despite passing 43 cars in the first 2 races. At New Smyrna, Nasse started 31st and moved all the way up to 5th. At 5 Flags, he started 21st and finished 4th. If Nasse can qualify up front, he will be tough to beat. Jake Garcia comes into Dominion having several podium finishes in his last 2 starts on the ASA Tour. He has a win in the All-American 400 at Nashville and a 2nd place finish at 5 Flags 2 weekends ago. Garcia competes full-time at the Truck Series level and is fresh off a 3rd place finish in Martinsville. Fans unable to attend in person can watch the Appalachian Sucker Punch 250 live via tracktv.com, providing full flag-to-flag coverage of the event. Now we bring on Chase Pinsonneault, who is in his first full-time season on the ASA All-Star Tour with Carson Hocevar Racing. Here's what Chase had to say going into Dominion this weekend. Pep driver Chase Pinsonneault calling back onto the show. Chase, you've been in big races before. You're going into your 3rd race of the season. How do you feel so far with this your first year on the ASA All-Star Tour?
I feel really good. I feel like the first week we really struggled, but we kind of regrouped in Pensacola. I got stuck with a bad set of tires in practice that I feel like threw a little bit of a wrench in our plans, but overall the weekend was really good and we showed some really good speed. I think we're going to be really good at Dominion. We did a little bit of testing on our way to Pensacola, and I think we had a really good shot.
10-4. Gotcha. Interesting. You finished 20th and 17th in the first 2 races. Just like you mentioned, you kind of rebounded a little bit in Pensacola. You ran all the laps in both those races. You did just say you did some testing at Dominion. How do you feel? And do you think that testing will help?
Yeah, for sure. Being able to get down there and get some laps on the track helped everybody, helped the crew with some notes on the car, helped me get some laps on the racetrack. Being a racetrack supers have ever been to before, no one really knows what to expect. So just having a little bit more of a notebook built up before we go down and get thrown in the fire is definitely going to help us a lot.
Gotcha. Some of these drivers you've been racing against for a while. Some are newer. You're not going to get the full sense of how they're going to race you in just a handful of races. But how do you feel, like comfort-wise, racing against these guys on this tour specifically?
I feel really good. Super intense battles between everyone, of course. All these drivers are the best in the country. Best super late model racers, best late model drivers in general, and they've got so much experience that it's super comfortable. I know that when you're there, they're going to give you the room, but they're not going to give you an extra inch. It's been great. It's been clean, and it's been really fun racing them so far.
All right, no, 10-4. I appreciate you going over that. This isn't your first go-around with Carson, host of our racing. You've won races with them in the past. Sounds like you're pretty confident going with them with Dominion and for the rest of this season?
Yeah, for sure. Been with them since the start of my United States racing career. Feel like they're a good spot for me. I'm learning a lot with them, and having Carson as somebody that I can kind of compare myself to, definitely going to help me long run. I feel like the team does a really, really good job at bringing nice-looking and well-maintained race cars to the racetrack every week, and I feel like every week we go, we just get better and better, faster, and at the end of this year, we'll totally be in contention for some wins.
Awesome. Sounds like confidence is up too. Last time we were talking at New Smyrna, you were saying you were struggling a little bit on the qualifying and working on that. Anything specifically you've been trying to get a better starting position?
We've definitely worked on it as a team for sure. I feel like progressively we've gotten better. Even in Pensacola, we were better than we were in New Smyrna. I think the only reason that didn't really show is because we had that bad set late in practice, kind of threw a little bit of a wrench in the plans. I definitely think everything we've done with ourselves and with Van Dorn Racing Development has helped our one-lap speed, and I'm really hoping it's going to show a little bit better in Dominion.
Awesome. Makes sense. Really appreciate you joining the show again. Best of luck this weekend. We'll talk to you soon, all right?
Of course, man. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks, Chase.
Yeah.
Always appreciative when Chase joins the show. Now looking towards this upcoming weekend of racing at Darlington, Xfinity and Cup Series will be in action. Drivers to look out for the Xfinity race. Cup drivers of Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott, and Ross Chastain will all be entered in this race. Currently, Bell is the betting favorite to win. Also got to put in Justin Allgaier. He will have a chance and is no problem racing against the Cup guys. I know I keep talking about them, but those two Haas Xfinity cars are getting real hot. Only a matter of time before Sam Mayer and Sheldon Creed grab a win. Carson Capol has been putting up consistent numbers in the number 1 for Junior Motorsports. Expect another top 5 for him. And the driver that needs to be on the lookout for Darlington is Sammy Smith. Drivers to look out for in Darlington on the Cup Series level. We'll start with the Hendrick stable, William Byron and Chase Elliott, each with multiple top 5 finishes, and Byron having one win as well. Can't forget about Joey Logano and Christopher Bell, each having multiple top 5s and top 10s. Joey has a win there too. A team that's been a little bit quiet recently, but should be shining come Darlington, is Roush Fenway Keselowski, RFK. This track matches up well for all 3 of their drivers, I think. Plus, Keselowski has won there previously. Last but not least, this driver has put up 2 P3 finishes in a row and has good statistics at Darlington. Give me that 23, Bubba Wallace. He's one to look out for as well, folks. Now for NASCAR history time. First part, historic moments at Martinsville. September 25th, 1949. The first NASCAR race at Martinsville Speedway occurred more than 70 years ago, and it didn't even have a name. The field was 15th drivers and the length was 200 laps. Red Byron took the win in what was called the NASCAR Strictly Stock Series, leading 97 laps in his 1949 Oldsmobile at the then dirt track. September 24th, 1989. The cars were in Virginia, but Dale Earnhardt was in North Carolina. Hurricane Hugo caused extensive damage at Earnhardt's farm, and the driver had to clear out trees and put up fences before trekking up to Martinsville. With Earnhardt temporarily unavailable, the team asked local driver Jimmy Hensley to qualify the famed number 3 Chevrolet. Hensley surprised everyone by putting the car on the pole minutes after Earnhardt showed up at the track. As someone who's worked on a farm, wanted to share that story, and also very cool that the local guy was able to put that car on the pole. Now to our second segment for History Time. With NASCAR going to Darlington next weekend for the annual Throwback Weekend, many will honor racers from yesteryear with throwback paint schemes. Here are several of the ones that I will be eyeing, plus my favorite at the end. Jeremy Clemens, driving the 51 in the Xfinity Series, will honor the 1985 Harry Gant paint scheme of the Skull Bandit. Mason Massey will honor Jimmy Spencer's 1999 No Bowl throwback scheme. Brandon Jones' paint scheme will be a throwback to 2013 of Matt Kenseth's. Very cool, but I'm not that old, and this one makes me feel kind of old. Daniel Dye will honor Adam Petty with a throwback paint scheme similar to the 54 Chevy that Petty drove. Parker Redslob will have an Ernie Irvan throwback scheme. 24 of William Byron will have a 2015 Jeff Gordon scheme. The 21 Wood Brothers Josh Berry will honor Indianapolis 500 winner Jim Clark with a paint scheme. Chase Elliott will honor Kenny Schrader with a throwback scheme similar to the 1994 season. Kyle Larson will throw it back to Terry Labonte's colors. Austin Cindric will honor Dale Earnhardt with a similar paint scheme that Senior drove the 79 and 80 season. Sorry, but I couldn't just choose one of these. Knowing the history for each and how they turned out, the number 2 and 21 cars look tough and already super fast. Can't wait to see them hit the track in Darlington at the Lady in Black. That wraps up this week's edition of NASCAR History Time. Now for Fast Davies bets. Xfinity, Carson Cabole is plus 550 for a top 5. Hit that. Cup Series, he might be struggling, but career-wise, Ty Gibbs is just below a 15th place finish in his 5 career Cup starts in Darlington. Ty Gibbs is plus 180 for a top 10. I'd take that also. Now for our predictions for Darlington. Xfinity, give me Christopher Bell. Think he's going to be too fast in that Joe Gibbs car. Cup, really could be any of a dozen or more drivers. Might be crazy for saying this, but 4 top 10s and a top 5 in his 6 Cup Series starts there since 2022. He's fresh off 2 top 3 finishes in a row. Give me Bubba Wallace to win in Darlington. Now for trivia answer time. As mentioned, we had 2 questions this week. The first one for our newer NASCAR fans. What driver did this Hail Melon move in the second Martinsville race in October of 2022 to punch his ticket to the championship race? The answer is the Melon Man himself, Ross Chastain. Second question, Martinsville opened in 1947. NASCAR's top division would come to Martinsville in the spring of 1950. Who won that race? Answer, Curtis Turner not only won the first spring race at Martinsville in 1950, he won the second time they came there the following spring in 51. As always, we're sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, a.k.a. Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He will be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. He can be reached at DisneyDaveW@Verizon.net. Please make sure you follow all the Splash of Gas social medias for midweek and on-track updates. Instagram and Facebook are both Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. This episode is in honor of my grandfather, David A. Weichert, who recently just passed away. Thank you for giving me my passion for sports. Rest easy, Grandpa. Hope everyone has enjoyed this episode of Splash of Gas and pulls out their throwback t-shirts for this weekend at Darlington. Splash of Gas out. Till next time, everybody.